All right, so we get questions all the time of when to sharpen blades, how to sharpen blades, and why you want to sharpen blades. Um, it's not as straightforward as everybody would imagine it to be. So if you're at home doing this yourself, I'm going to give you a couple examples of what blades look like, and when they look in this condition, you need to sharpen them. By rule of thumb, every 8 to 12 hours of cutting time, you need to sharpen the blades. So for commercial people like us, that means every single day we sharpen blades. Now, I don't have time every day to sharpen blades. We do this once a week. It's a Sunday afternoon right now, and I'm out sharpening blades. So we do this once a week or once every other week. And the reason we can get by that way is because I have this huge box of blades behind me, and so we put new blades on every single mower every single day. So fresh, sharp blades. They're cleaned, so we don't transmit diseases from one yard to another yard. Oftentimes dog poop gets on blades, and that can get from one yard to another yard. So we have to clean these blades, and then we sharpen them. So every time we go, it is a fresh cut on every single yard. Because we probably have the blades on probably 6 to 7 of the 8 to 10 hours we're out mowing. And then for a homeowner, you guys may only have to sharpen them once a year, maybe a little more than that, but usually about once a year. If you guys sharpen them when you do your yearly tune-up, that is perfectly fine for you. So I'm going to give you an example of what some blades look like. So you can come a little closer. See, this blade is pretty much a brand new blade. We'll try and get some of the grass off of here, but if you look down this way, you see how it's all bent up right in here? This is because we hit something, and so if we continued to mow with this has probably been hit, there was a stick in the yard, we hit a stick or something like that, and if we continue to mow with this, it's not going to make the blade cut off a clean cut, and so when you look at the grass, it'll have a brown tint to it, and that's because the grass has been ripped off instead of cut, and it can lead to disease in the yard. So we're going to have to sharpen this blade all the way down until this is perfectly flat again. It's bent on this side also. Now if you get a really good blade, I sharpened some already today. So here's the difference. You see that this is the bad blade. It hasn't been sharpened. It's got all these kinks in it. And this blade I just sharpened, and it's completely flat. Well, this is actually a 30-degree angle. I think it's 27 to 30-degree angle. And then this is the most important part. This last inch and a half, this is the only inch and a half. This is the only part of the blade that actually cuts grass, because this blade's moving so fast that you're actually only cutting with this last inch and a half. That's why you only see damage on this last about inch and a half of the blade here. And so this is starting to round off, and this is a 90-degree angle. So I'm gonna have to sharpen this blade all the way till I can get a right angle at the end of the tip here of this blade. So it takes a while, but we do this to make sure that our quality is as high as possible. The next thing we do is you want to balance these blades out. So after you sharpen them, you're going to put the blade on the balancer, and see how it's moving? That means the blade is off balance. And when the blade is off balance, you can ruin the engine of your mower. You can ruin the spindle. So it's very important to make sure that these blades are perfectly balanced. When I put one of these blades that I've already worked on, it should turn very little. See how it's barely moving at all? That means this is a balanced blade. The next thing you need to do is there's this pull back here, and that tells you if it hits it when it's going around, that tells you that the blade is bent. So if the blade's bent and this blade's spinning 3,000 times a minute, it's going to mess up the spindles, mess up the bearings in your mowers, and it's going to ruin a $10,000 mower. These commercial mowers are very expensive, so a $15 blade is not worth ruining a mower over. It's very important that you get these things balanced. You don't use bent blades, and you sharpen them daily. Okay, so this is a commercial setup. This is the guy that made this is a local Indiana company. I went down to New Whiteland and bought this unit. These things are about $700-800, so it's not typical that a homeowner would buy something like this. If you are a homeowner, you can take the blades off, or you can take your whole mower to a shop and they will sharpen them for you. If you can see this groove right here, when I set the blade into this groove, this is only meant for lawnmowers, so this sharpens lawnmower blades. When I set this blade into this groove, that is the perfect angle of what this should be cut at. Some people use hand angle grinders, but they can never get this perfect. I can't remember if it's a 27 or a 30-degree angle, but I don't have to remember that because this is the perfect angle all the time, 100% of the time. So make sure that your blades are sharp before you go out and mow. And I'll give you a quick example. It's going to get pretty noisy, so I'm going to give you a quick example. Always put your gloves on because these blades get extremely hot when they're being sharpened. So I'm going to show you this blade. You have all of this kind of rust looking stuff on here. You don't want to transfer that to other yards. If there was a bunch of grass built up, I would take a scraper and scrape it all off of this blade. But we're gonna make this look brand new. So we just turn this guy on, and this just sits straight into the unit, and you just pull straight back. Now can you see the difference? This is brand new. I just sharpened that, and this is the old one. It's very distinctly different. You have a right angle down here, that's perfect. This blade is ready to go. So now you have to flip it over to the other side. So that looks pretty good. Now we're going to put it on our balancer here. So this side is slightly heavier than this side. That's why it's dropping to the bottom. So we're going to take a little more off. Now this side's a little heavier, so we're just going to take slightly. And that's a perfect blade there. So make sure that you're always sharpening your blades. You always use sharp blades. It's better for the health of the grass. When you have super sharp blades, the grass will look green after you're done cutting. If you have dull blades, the grass will appear brown because it's been ripped and it hasn't been cut. So if you guys are trying to do it yourself, you probably won't have a setup like this. You can use a file to file this off. But if you do hire a landscaping company, make sure that they use sharp blades and they're taking care of their blades before they put their lawnmowers on your guys' property. So that's how we do it here at Green's Lawn Care. Hopefully your guys' provider does something similar to what we do. But always ask that question. How often do you sharpen your blades? Do you take care of your blades? Because if they take care of their blades, they probably are going to be a pretty decent company. They probably have good customer service. They're probably going to take care of their equipment. They're going to take care of your yard. Because we're all going to mess up, and if we mess up your yard, you know, if somebody takes care of the lawnmower blades, they have this kind of detail, and they mess up your yard, you can bet that they're probably going to fix your yard without even having to be asked to take care of it. So That's all we got here at Green's Lawn Care.